Hello, good evening, and may the 4th be with you. Oh my gosh, I've been so looking forward to saying that, and I'm also low key a bit sad because I was not in the best lighting, but here we go. May the 4th be with you. And what fourth? What fourth am I talking about? Because it ain't Star Wars, okay? It ain't Star Wars. It definitely ain't Darth Vader. He ain't finna be with you. He is not for you. I hope you ain't down with him. Anyway, once upon a time I didn't even know what Star Wars was. And then I got into it. And it's actually kind of a fun movie. If I do say so myself. Fun as in interesting. But I want to talk to you tonight about there is a fourth with you. And I want to share with you where Star Wars got that from. Talking about may the force be with you. May the force be with you. They talking about the force. We talking about the kingdom of heaven over here. But I want to talk to you about the real fourth. And this is such a fun story that I believe that you will be encouraged by it. And I'm going to kind of read in a bit of a Guyanese accent, a bit of a Memphis accent tonight, maybe a little bit of throwback Old English accent, because this story is so interesting. I plan to read it as if I'm how I read when I'm by myself, right? But I want you to enjoy this time too. So it's going to just prepare for it to be animated. There's several characters in this story. And I know you've heard before about the three Hebrew boys, right? I know you've heard about them. So tonight we're going to find out who the three Hebrew boys is and who the fourth is. Okay. All right. So we're going to read from in Daniel chapter 3. And I kind of want to read the whole thing, so I might read a little fast too. Yeah, we're going to read from verse 1, and we're going to see this action. Okay. King Nebuchadnezzar, that was his name. He had the longest name ever, okay? King Nebuchadnezzar made a gold statue 90 feet tall and 9 feet wide and set it up in the plain in Dura in the province of Babylon. Then he sent messages to the high officers, officials, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges. Everybody everywhere got letters from the king. And all the provincial officials to come to the dedication of the statue he had set up. That's what he did. He sent out letters. Look, all of y'all come, all y'all governors, mayors, everybody from everywhere. Y'all come to, celebrate my statue being set up. So all these officials came and stood before the statue King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then a herald shouted, people of all races and nations and languages. Everybody was there, okay? Then the herald shouted, people of all races and nations and languages, listen to the king's command. When you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipes, all the musical instruments, bow to the ground to worship King Nebuchadnezzar's gold statue. Anyone who refuses to obey will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace. Now, picture this scene. You got all the government officials from everywhere, plus the people. You got all the government officials from everywhere, and the herald of the king said, listen to the king's command. Anyone who refuses to bow, you know what I'm saying? When you hear the music go off, when you hear the cue go off, you need to bow to this golden statue. And anyone who refuses to bow will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace. Now, the king is there when this command is given, okay? And that's the command that he gave. All right, let's keep going in the story. So at the sound of the musical instruments, all the people, whatever their race, nation, language, they bow to the ground and worship the gold statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. But some of the astrologers went to the king and informed on the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, Long live the king. Long live the king. I love it. Because they like, listen, don't chop our head off. We just bringing the reports. So they say, long live the king. You issued a decree requiring all people to bow down and worship the gold statue when they heard the sound of the horn, the zither, lyre, pipes, all the musical instruments, right? That decree also states that those who refuse to obey must be thrown into a blazing furnace. But there are some Jews, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, whom you have put in charge of the province of Babylon. They pay no attention to you, your majesty. They refuse to serve your gods and do not worship the gold statue you have set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar flew into a rage and ordered that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought before him instantly. Okay, I added that word instantly. But that's what he did. He ordered them to be brought before him. Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you refuse to serve the God, that you refuse to serve my gods or to worship the gold statue I have set up? I will give you one more chance to bow down and worship the statue I have made when you hear the sound of the musical instruments. But if you refuse, you will be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace. And then what God will be able to rescue you from my power?" Nebuchadnezzar is one king that is full of himself. First of all, he made some giant statue that was 90 feet tall, 9 feet wide. Like everybody could see it from wherever you're at, in the location. You could see this thing because it's so giant. And then when you hear this music, you're supposed to bow down and worship it. Because essentially, King Nebuchadnezzar wants people to worship him because he made the statue in his likeness. And he's saying, when you hear these musical instruments, you need to bow down and worship it. And if you don't worship it, you're not showing your allegiance or reverence to me as God. And so then I'm going to kill you. I'm going to throw you in the furnace, right? And so now he's saying, and then what God, because he's likening himself to God, and he's saying, by my power, I'm going to throw you into this blazing furnace. I'm going to give y'all one more chance. Maybe y'all didn't hear the command. Maybe, y'all were working when we gave the command initially, but I'm going to give you one more chance. You right here in front of me. We're going to sound the musical instruments, and you have a chance here. You can bow down. And he's saying, but if you don't, I'm going to throw you in the furnace. And then what God will be able to rescue you from my power. That's what the king told him. Hear what these boys say. Okay, this is where I'm going into my Anthony Edwards accent. Okay, these boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied, "O King Nebuchadnezzar, we don't need to defend ourselves before you. We do not need to defend ourselves before you. If we are thrown into your blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty." Ooh, these boys so cold. I'm going to read that again because this is their response to the king. This is why I have to read in my Anthony Edwards voice, okay? Because, okay, I know y'all have seen that video of him talking to the president, and he's like just talking like, look, I'm going to talk to you how I talk to you. He said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied, "O King Nebuchadnezzar, we don't need to defend ourselves before you. If we are thrown into your little furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. But even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear. We're going to make one thing clear to you today. Even if the God that we serve, who is able to rescue us from your furnace, even if he does not, guess what, your majesty? We will never serve your gods. We will never worship your golden statue, that thing that you have set up. We are never doing it. We won't do it. That's what these boys said to the king. Now, this is the king's response. Nebuchadnezzar was so furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that his face became distorted with rage. he commanded that the furnace be heated 7 times hotter than usual. Turn it up. We finna burn them up. Okay. He is pissed off at this point, and he's like, turn it up, cause we finna burn these boys up. Okay. They about to get it. Throw them in there. Whew, he's in a rage. That's what this is saying. Okay. His face became distorted with rage. He commanded that the furnace be heated 7 times hotter than usual. Then he ordered some of the strongest men of his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. So they tied them up and threw them into the furnace, fully dressed in their pants, turbans, robes, and other garments. And because the king in his anger had demanded such a hot fire upon them, is what the king said. Because the king in his anger had demanded such a hot fire in the furnace, the flames killed the soldiers that threw the 3 men in. The king is so mad. He's like, no, we about to throw these boys. Y'all about to get in this furnace now. He's so upset that his own soldiers are now suffering loss. His own crew, his own squad that he commanded to throw these boys into the fire, his own soldiers are burnt up by the fire. But now today we talking about May the 4th, okay? Let's see who the real 4th is, because we about to get into that part of the story right now. I'm going to read that verse again, verse 22. This is Daniel chapter 3, verse 22. It says, and because the king in his anger had demanded such a hot fire in the furnace, the flames killed the soldiers as they threw the 3 men in. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, securely tied, fell into the roaring flames. But suddenly, Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in amazement and exclaimed to his advisors, did we not throw 3 men tied up? Didn't we tie up 3 men and throw them into the furnace? Yes, your majesty. Yes, your majesty. We certainly did. They replied. Look, Nebuchadnezzar shouted, I see 4 men unbound, walking around in the fire, unharmed. And the 4th looks like the Son of God. What? And the 4th. Okay, may this 4th be with you at all times, the Son of God. Okay, and the 4th looks like the Son of God. Then, actually, I want to look at that. Okay, I'm going to read it as it is in this translation. And the 4th looks like a God. Then Nebuchadnezzar came as close as he could, because remember, he couldn't get too close because he didn't turn up the fire. But guess what he said? Then Nebuchadnezzar came as close as he could to the door of the flaming furnace and shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out here now. Get out of there. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out. You recognize what's going on here. These boys still alive. They walking around, and they got a 4th with them. They got the real 4th. May this 4th be with me and be with you all the time. It says it don't say May the 4th. Today is May the 4th, and that inspired me to read this story about the real 4th. It says, the king said, after getting close to the door of the fire, the king shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out here. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stepped out of the fire. Then the high officers, officials, governors, and advisors crowded around them and saw that the fire had not touched them. The fire had not, they were in the fire, but the fire had not touched them. Oh, I'm fitting to go. Let me tell you, y'all talk about science. God is the master scientist, okay? God is even able to put a shield around his people such that the fire wouldn't even touch them. That's what this thing said. The fire didn't even touch them. And we know that it was only for them, because even the men that threw them into the furnace, they crisp, burnt, toast, done, defeated. extinguished. The fire extinguished them. That wasn't a fire extinguisher that saved them, but the fire took them boys out. But here it is. These boys that belong to the Lord, these boys that decided, look, King, your majesty, it's your country. If you want to throw us in your furnace, it's your furnace to throw us in. But we're going to tell you this right now. We're not bowing before you or your statue. We'll take the furnace because we know our God will deliver us. That's what they said. We know he will. We know he's able and we know he will. But even if he don't, we're not bowing to you or your gods. We'll take your furnace. And I love it because right here, King Nebuchadnezzar recognized these boys serve the Most High God because he said to them, he actually affirmed and called them servants of the Most High God. And he told them to come out the fire. So when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stepped out of the fire, then the high officers, officials, governors, advisors crowded around them and saw that the fire had not touched them. They were in the fire, but the fire had not touched them. Not a hair on their heads was singed, and their clothing was not scorched. They didn't even smell like smoke. And we know they were in there for some time. We know that they were in there for some time because earlier in this account, it said that they were walking around and there was a fourth man in there with them that the king could see visually, right? So God is putting his works on display. God is putting himself on display. God is showing himself as a great defender of his people. God is showing himself as faithful to his people, right? Then Nebuchadnezzar said, praise the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel to rescue his servants who trusted in him. And we know these boys trusted in the Lord because they said, look, we'll take your furnace, but we're not bowing. So they trusted in God enough to take the consequences of what would seem to be death. And they trusted that the Lord would save them from that furnace. And then they trusted so much that they said, even if he doesn't, we're still not bowing. So we'll take the consequences, right? Love this so much. I hope you're being encouraged by this to remain faithful to God because he is trustworthy. He is faithful and he does come through. Okay. Even if it's a crazy situation that looks like, whoa, this might be my death here. He said, look, the Lord is even able to shield you from fire touching you. You see this? Then Nebuchadnezzar said, praise the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel to rescue his servants who trusted in him. They defied the king's command and were willing to die rather than serve or worship any god except their own. Therefore, I make this decree. If any people, whatever race or nation or language, speak a word against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they will be torn limb for limb, and their houses will be turned into heaps of rubble. There is no other God that can rescue like this. What? Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to even higher positions in the province of Babylon. What? You better be faithful to God. You better start trusting God. I'm telling you this. I'm telling myself this. Let us trust God because he is the fourth with us in any fiery situation that may try to come up against us, that may try to stand against us or try to devour us, right? Any situation that may try to even devour us, it cannot, because we have a trusty and trustworthy God who's with us. And he'll give you a testimony like this, okay, of his goodness to you so that you might live and breathe and declare his goodness in the earth. So if you ever want to know where they got the fourth, May the 4th, this is the fourth that they talking about. Even if they saying something else, this is the fourth that they talking about, because this is the only fourth that can deliver. Even Nebuchadnezzar said it. It says, there is no other God who can rescue like this. So be encouraged tonight. And be encouraged to read Daniel chapter 3. I think you'll find massive encouragement in just getting into the scriptures. If you're navigating a fiery situation that seems like you're between a rock and a furnace, trust God. Trust God. He's for you. Until next time, be encouraged, believe God, and I'll see you again soon. May this fourth be with you, okay? Be encouraged, believe God. I'll see you again soon. There is another in the fire standing next to me.